All right, boys and girls, I'm back with another one as another 100% race. It is Baku, Azerbaijan. And I don't usually do very well at this track, so we'll see how this goes. But if you watched the last video, you know that we did Monaco, and the AI was probably a little bit too low, which I'm somewhat trying to avoid moving forward. I'd like to maybe right size the AI a little bit more to make it more appropriate for my skill level. And that was kind of the goal here. I did a little bit of time trial practice just to try to figure out a representative time and then plug that into the AI difficulty calculator and see what we came up with. And I think we ended up at like 83-ish or something like that. So I think that's what I'm going with here. And I ran the practices at that AI level, and it felt like a pretty good level in terms of I wasn't just pulling purple sectors all the time. It was more like I was really having to put good laps in to sort of finish some of the practice programs as I was trying to do. And I found that my time was pretty in terms of comparing to the other drivers and comparing to my teammate and other teams that have slightly better and slightly worse cars than I do. I think it ended up in a pretty good place. So that's the verdict. We feel decent about the AI, and we're just going to have to see how it goes. The first test, of course, is qualifying, and you're seeing my last lap of qualifying here. I put in a first lap that was decent, I would say, and I think it was initially like P11 or something like that, and I've dropped down to P20 as we get closer to the end of qualifying. Obviously, as other guys put times in, and we're more in a position where the track has evolved a bit, and you're seeing that I'm able to go, what is this, almost 8/10 up on my first time. And there was a lap in the middle there that I just wasn't that good. I think I might have abandoned it. I can't remember. But anyway, point is, I come across the line. You may be able to see on the wheel there, P16. I got a time that I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was pretty decent. It was okay. And honestly, P16 is probably pretty appropriate for where our car is at this point in the season. You'll see that I'm right behind my teammate Carlos Sainz, roughly almost 2/10 off of him. So that was pretty good, and I was tempted to lower by just a little bit the AI right there, and I think probably I should have just maybe 2 points, maybe go down to like 81 instead of 83. It is a battle, and it's a battle that I hope is fixed when F122 comes out with adaptive AI. I'm really hopeful about what that could be. And I'm excited about it. And, of course, when the game comes out, I will try it out, and I will let you guys know what I think. But for now, we are on F1 2021. And as you can see, the Drivers' Championship is pretty tight up there at the front of the standings. I'm going to need a couple more wins if I want to be competing with some of those guys. So let's hope we can get a good result here and maybe get up there. So you see my strategy is going to be a two-stopper. We go medium, medium, soft. I just need to stay within range of everybody and keep the DRS on these two medium stints, and then hopefully I can kind of carve through people on the softs. That's my hope, at least. We will see how that goes. But 5 red lights, away we go, and I decided to back out a little bit from Ocon there, just not really send it into the first corner. But I'm already on my back foot a little bit. Sainz is behind me, and I went a little too deep there. Kind of got lucky that nobody really caused more of an issue there than what happened, but I do think I sent George Russell a little bit sideways. But fast forward a bit to the end of lap 2, we've got DRS enabled. Sainz is directly behind me. He is coming up on me fast, and I accidentally bumped him. I don't know if that was my fault, but he went spinning like a top, and he dropped down a couple spots. So sorry about that to my teammate. We may have a little Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton 2016 Mercedes chat. Where was that they did that? I can't remember. It got into a little first lap tussle. We hope to avoid that here at Starlux Motorsport, but sometimes it happens. Fast forward again, just take advantage of other people pitting. I'm P9 here on lap 11, which is decent. Of course, this is a pit stop mismatch. I don't actually belong up here. Sergio Perez just sort of, I don't know, it was a little bit reckless with that one. I thought he was going to back out. He didn't do it. Ricardo gets by me as well. Sainz gets by me as well after I had passed him and spun him a while back, so it's fair to say he's got a lot more pace at the moment than I do. I'm all out of sorts. I'm touching walls. I think I touched walls with 2 wheels at different points during that last sector, so I'm all out of sorts at this point. I just lost 3 places in the span of like a sector basically, and you see me check my vehicle condition there, and I don't think you'll be able to hear the audio, but it was fine, which was good. We're not on sim damage. Well, we're on standard, so hopefully we can avoid any damage from that sort of thing. But I got back by Sainz. I don't know if that was team orders or what, but fast forward a bit here on lap 15, and he's coming up a bit behind me, and he's kind of gets a good run into this turn, and I brake a little bit deeper, but I'm trying to give him a ton of room because the last thing I want to do is DNF with my teammate on lap 15. Norris gets by as well. Gasly gets by as well because I was completely out of position there, just in a terrible spot. Fast forward a bit again here, lap 16. You see the guys in front of me are absolutely just gapping me. I have no pace. AI might be a little bit too high. I might just be terrible. But I have no pace whatsoever, like in the slightest. And it's not going well. And Lewis Hamilton here gets a run up on the inside. I figured he would back out. He didn't back out. He full sends it. He goes over the curb. I saw him catch airtime to my left. He makes contact with me, and Jeff pops on the radio and says, "Hey, you need to come in for a wing change because you just got absolutely murked by Lewis Hamilton." And it's absolutely true. I can feel the damage on the wing. It needs to be replaced. I'm pitting soon anyway, so ideally we're not going to lose too much time here is the hope with this wing change. But it is going to be an additional 6-7 seconds onto my pit stop, so it would have been a whole lot cooler if that didn't happen, to be quite honest with you. So 8.5 second pit stop. We get out there. I am in P22. This race is going immensely poorly. This is not going well at all. Carlos Sainz is directly in front of me, 13 seconds away. I feel like I'm probably in for a long day here. So fast forward a little bit. We got Antonio Giovinazzi and Stroll in front of me coming out of the pits, so I'm a little bit closer to them. I'm hopeful that maybe I can get some DRS action and follow them up the order, but ultimately that doesn't happen. I'm still over a second behind Stroll. You see a lot going on here with pitting. I don't know if these guys maybe went. Is this their first pit stop? Yeah, I think they started on mediums, and now they're on their second stint. So I do stay ahead of Dan Ticktum there. It was a bit of a dicey measure for just a second, but fortunately we stayed out in front of it. Fast forward a bit here, and we're on lap 28. Dan Ticktum is getting a little bit closer. I'm hopeful that I can fend him off. I didn't really brake correctly for that one. I just sort of lost it a bit out of the turn, and then I just drifted over a little bit, and that one was on me. I felt like the first one was on Hamilton. I think that one was on Ticktum, but nonetheless, my race is pretty much ruined at this point. I'm going to have to pit for another wing change. It's just not going well. And I said, you know what? We're going to save the engines. We already blew an engine first race in Bahrain. We can't afford to waste all our engine power here. I'm just going to retire. There's no way I'm getting into the points. I've got at least one pit stop left unless I go into hards, in which case I will be absolutely gapped by everybody else in the field. It just wasn't my day. It wasn't my race. Lewis Hamilton, I don't think that was my fault. Dan Ticktum, that was probably my fault. I did run out a bit in front of him. But end of the day, we get a terrible, terrible result. P22, a DNF. We retired. Carlos Sainz gets P15. Lando Norris gets first. Daniel Ricciardo gets 2, so McLaren 1-2, and Jeff is in the mud. It's tough, but we'll see you again soon for another one.